School.
I got boozy root beer.
I got boozy Coke to go with my Red Bull. Hey, we're live on the Metal Lab this week. And Happy New Year, folks. We haven't seen you guys since last year, and I'm joined this week with the new crew, Mr. PJ Bolin.
We missed you guys.
Mike White.
Hola.
And Jay.
Hi, everyone.
So without further ado, we've been off for 2 weeks. PJ, what you been up to for a couple weeks?
Nothing really. Just spending some time with the fam. Taking in the holidays, having a good time.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, family stuff. My partner and I and her my stepdaughter, we went away to Costa Rica for a week. So that was awesome. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. Did some surfing, and that's it. No real clicks. Yesterday was my first clicks game, really, since the last show.
Cool. All right. Jay?
Not too much clicks over the holidays, outside of some casual games where I got my face curb stomped in by Odin the Destroyer because he has to be both meta and casual. Nightmare for me.
Fair enough. Myself, I think I already talked about my Star Trek Sealed, but then I played quite a bit of casual clicks. One game at a Christmas party was an 800-point game, and I brought Starfleet. And the look on your opponent's face when you say Lieutenant Sulu running shots for 5 damage is something to witness. He was playing a Sinestro. What was I supposed to do? Of course I got to do damage like that to him. I also sat back and collected Kirk's title character points until eventually TKing him forward and dropping a shirtless Kirk on somebody's face. So that was a weird casual mess that I made. I played a couple other games throughout the time. Nothing super major. I didn't really do a whole lot of experimenting outside of the house. Inside of the house, if you guys have been on one of our sponsors, we'll talk about later, Majestics. I'm starting to postulate about the limited format. I'm starting to come up with my ideas for the Canadian Nationals. So, if you guys were watching the Patron Hangout on Friday, you know that I'm planning on sharing that as part of the Metafix from here on in. So Metafix's format's changing. It's going to be a lot of fun where I actually kind of share my whole process, my ups and downs of coming up with a team idea. And then I'm also going to be writing articles with Majestics in the limited format for that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really hoping that the articles pan out fairly well. But throughout this holiday season, we had a little bit of a returning treat from our friends over at WizKids. 6 previews have found their way from the X-Men Xavier School set. So without further ado, let's get this underway, starting with Jean Grey. Is it blinking for you guys too?
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, it's Disco Jean.
Disco Jean. I'm wondering if there's a loose wire or something. It's on my second screen. That's what's going on here. So Jean Grey has the X Factor keyword. That is all. She also has the X Factor trait. When this character hits with an attack, modified damage +1 for each 5 in the attack roll. And then what you see is when you get dialed for 60 points. 6 range. PJ, first preview of the year. Jean Grey, what do you think?
She's pretty good for sealed. 60 point sidestep TK leadership, decent amount of clicks, and she has super senses. So I don't think she'll see any type of competitive play with the cost-effective TK that we've got, because you can play a Lieutenant Kyle and a 25-point leadership for 10 points less than her.
Yep.
So she won't see any meta play, but I think she'll be great in the field.
Cool. Mike?
Yeah, PJ pretty much covers it. If I pulled this in sealed, depending on what else, sure, why not? Some TK is nice. If I made an X Factor team, sure, leadership and TK is okay, but there's better stuff out there for less points. So casual, sure, why not? Meta, no.
Yeah. Jay?
Nothing to add there.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. But it's an uncommon. You expect it to be at best pretty decent for sealed, but not much beyond that, right? So next, move up in rarity to Icarus, and we go full screen with this one. So Awesome. Icarus has the Hellions and New Mutants keywords. Joshua Guthrie, I don't know how to pronounce that properly, is the last name. Hellions is one trait. When this character's attack roll is 10 or more, damage dealt by that attack is penetrating. Then the second trait, ex-student, when this character's or an adjacent friendly character's attack roll includes exactly 1/5, modify one target's defense by -1. He's got a special movement ability, Charge. When Icarus uses it, he can use willpower and ignore characters for movement. He has 50 points. He's got that charge power in his first 2 clicks and his last click, which also has some regeneration. And he starts off with some super senses. Mike, your thoughts on Icarus?
It's not a bad figure. Again, if I pulled him in sealed, depending on what else, he could be totally useful for bringing somebody along with him. The charge power, breaking away automatically, it's not bad. 18 defense with super senses means he could potentially be a good tie-up piece. And who knows? You might roll some 5s in there. So, interesting figure. I do like him in terms of theme building because I think there'll be a lot of interesting New Mutants and Hellions in this set. And again, so 50-point Taxi who actually could do something with Quake, even charging Quake. So not bad, but I doubt we'll really see him in meta. But fun little figure.
All right, Jay.
Yeah, not competitive, but you should see him in sealed and casual, maybe.
Yeah. All right, PJ.
Same. I think he's okay. Maybe if you really were hurting for some type of secondary attacker for meta, he's okay. Maybe. But in sealed, I think you absolutely play him if you open him.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Hellions trait, and I want to see what other Hellions we get to go with that trait. Because if we get like an outright good Hellion, which not likely, but on the likelihood we get one, imagine a character who's good and then also does penetrating damage if you roll a 10 or higher. And, it's among a 10 or higher is a critical hit, right? So lofty dreams, but we used to dream on the disintegration beam, and it worked for me a lot. So
well, now we have Trelane, so more doable.
Yeah, we do have Trelane. We do have Mr. Mix's Pitlick until the next cuts. So that Hellions trait on the right character, who knows, right? Anyway, that was my calming element of the whole thing. Let's talk about Professor X. X-Men keyword, Charles Xavier real name. Not that that's really going to matter for the future. Headmaster trait. Now, as we're going to see, or if you've watched Scott Porter's unboxing, you're starting to understand that the Headmaster trait kind of comes with this leadership, perplex, but only to target another friendly character with the X-Men keyword. During force construction, you may include one student ID card on your force without adding its cost. So free ID cards as long as they're student ID cards. Special movement power. I will not harm another if I can help it. Mind control. When Professor X uses it as a range action, he targets all opposing characters within range, regardless of line of fire, and hit targets can't make attacks during this action. And then he's got, can shoot out of base. He's indomitable, 8 range, 75 or 50 points. X-Men team ability, 18 defense with defend on the first 2 clicks. Jay, what are your thoughts on Professor X?
You definitely play him in sealed. There's no doubt about that. Assuming he gets an ID card, pretty decent option there. I don't know about the 75 points for actual constructed figure on your force, but I could consider the 50 because that sort of repositioning for that, it's not terrible. Although he is a very short dial for that, but they're attacking him. That's kind of okay too. And Outwit's, of course, much better. But I think the most exciting thing about this guy is that he has the A next to his collector number.
Yeah, I missed that part myself. Maybe the next one will have the golden hover chair. PJ.
I'm not really a fan. I love to see the traits or the trait. I think that has a lot of potential. I just don't think this piece has a lot of potential. All target mind control is great if it was a May. Like if he could use it normally or like that, great. But he can't actually just use it as a normal unless it's close, which is random. but
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think he's a little too wonky, and his dial's way too short for how many points you have to pay for him.
Yep. Mike?
Yeah, I hate that special power, to be honest. Like, because, like you said, it's not optional. Pretty much, he's not mind controlling anybody at range to do an attack because he can't. He doesn't have that choice. He has to target everybody, and they don't get to make an attack. So he's mind controlling a group of people to move. I don't understand the use of that point wise. You know, I was excited for a 12 attack, double target, 8 range. Mind control sounded interesting, but yeah, I'm pretty let down by this figure, really. Everything I would want to do with him, I don't want to do with him for 75 points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm let down.
I think the potential on it is to create kill boxes, but you're spending a lot of points in order to create the kill boxes with this character. His 12 attack with incapacitate is still there. Not a total knock on him. But I do agree he's a little, like, with a mind control that doesn't work properly, or very well for that matter at range, with the range that he's got. He's not worth extra points. In fact, should be dropped in points. And I think a lot of the points are getting poured into this headmaster trade where he's got both leadership and perplex. So it is an 8 range perplex with the high defense defend. I mean, I'm looking for the positives here, and there is an 8 range wit to go with it too.
Look, if I was really looking at it in terms of if you feel like somehow you're facing off against a lot of people who pick like the dungeon or the office, and you want to be able to make them move into position, great. But again, 75 points to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like it's a big investment in some situational shit.
I think it remains to be seen what the student ID cards all look like. All right. Next up, super rare prime territory. Magneto, Brotherhood of Mutants, Hellfire Club, New Mutants keywords. Oh, Jesus, a lot of reading here. His trait, betraying the New Mutants in Xavier's dream, or am I? When Magneto attacks one or more characters with the New Mutants or X-Men keyword, modify attack and damage by +1. When he KOs an opposing character with the New Mutants or X-Men keywords with his attack, after resolutions, roll a d6 on a 1 to 3, deal him 1 unavoidable damage. He's got a special defense power in his last 2 clicks. Great King of the Hellfire Club. Other friendly characters with the Hellfire Club keyword have free modify either attack by +2 or defense +2 until your next turn. He's got a special damage power on his first 4 clicks. White King of the Hellfire Club. Leadership. Other friendly characters with the Hellfire Club keyword have free modify either attack +1 or defense +1 until your next turn. He comes in at 75 points, flies, indomitable, 7 range, Brotherhood of Mutants team ability, which is just +1 movement. Moving now. PJ, what do you think of Magneto?
I actually like this guy a lot. I've seen him catching a lot of hate, you know, on the various Facebook forums and stuff.
Yep.
But I think his playability is directly based on how good the Hellfire Club ends up being. But sidestep TK leadership for 75 points isn't bad, and he has very reasonable values and pushes incredibly well. So people are like, "Oh, does it occupy a prime slot?" I think it's absolutely worth a prime slot. Like, we're not really. If you look at like post rotation primes, you don't really have any that are that great. You know, we're looking like, I mean, the only one that really sees play right now is Nighthawk or Jakeem. And that's not really going to keep around. So one's rotating and one's nerfing around. So his trait's cute. I don't think it's necessarily great, but him being able to just hand out Complex to everybody with Hellfire Club is good if Hellfire Club ends up good.
Yeah. All right. Mike?
Yeah, PJ pretty much nailed it there. I don't think he's such a bad figure, depending upon who you compare him up with. Hellfire Club, especially because of both those special powers that are like free perplex for themselves. I like him. I don't think he's so bad, especially because at 75 points with the early sidestep TK leadership, he can be throwing some other people forward, but then he jumps onto, running shot, pulse wave. 10 attack isn't great, but again, there's ways around it. You could have some other perplexers on your team. It's not so bad. I look forward to some good Hellfire Club people, maybe.
All right, Jay?
He should be incredible in sealed, and taking the damage with his trait is kind of good from the first click, because if he's at range, he's impossible to hit. Then he gets the pulse wave, which is just fantastic. Leadership's always good. TK is always useful. Just great values. Constructed, maybe. Definitely a maybe, because, primes kind of don't really matter as much post-rotation. Plus, they're based on what they said about the Avengers set primes. Who knows if primes are even going to continue working the way they are now in the future. Pretty dirt cheap considering the values you get from him.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing worth noting is post-rotation, all characters on ID cards are, for the most part, going to be X-Men or New Mutants for some matter, right? That means that your call-ins are being threatened by this Magneto a lot because he gets attack and damage. So if you see this Magneto on the board, he's going to be a problem for your call-ins. And I know characters like Storm are probably going to see play because we already know there is a Storm ID card. And we most recently got that super awesome, what's her name? What's it called? Power Cosmic Storm, right? So who knows, right? I think the future holds something for him, and whatever world of Hellfire Club that we get holds some potential for him as well. I think we're actually still on modern. Is the White Queen or Emma Frost from Uncanny X-Men still packing the Hellfire Club keyword? Because she could get some use out of that, right? Both the front and late dial version of it, and so that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm seeing. I'm positive, but I'm definitely on the positive side of this Magneto. More so than some of the negativity thrown at him. All right, next up, the first of the two chases. Not the first one shown, but the first one we're going to talk about. And that's Angel, Age of Apocalypse and X-Men. Guess what, guys? We're getting Age of Apocalypse again. All right, so his trait, Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse, for now. When Angel is damaged by an opposing character, give that character a revenge token. When Angel attacks a character with one or more tokens named Revenge, modify attack and damage +1. When Angel is KO'd, you may choose an opposing character with a token named Revenge and remove all those tokens and roll that many d6s. For each roll on a 5 to 6, deal that character 1 penetrating damage. He's got a special movement power, gives him sidestep, stealth, and shape change, but only if Angel is not adjacent to a friendly character. And then he's got a special attack on his very last click, Stop. Free, deal 3 damage to each other character within 5 squares and destroy each piece of blocking terrain within 5 squares and deal Angel 1 unavoidable damage. Mike, thoughts on Angel?
He blows up real good. Interesting little figure. 60 points means a little more playable with the kind of stuff that he has. I like Age of Apocalypse, so thematically I'm very excited. Because he can fit into some nice teams, and some perplex will be super helpful. Sidestep, stealth, potential shape change means he's very maneuverable, can hide well. I like him. I think he's a great figure. For sure, I'm playing him if I pull him in sealed, and I think he has a lot of potential for helping out X-Men theme teams. I don't know if I would necessarily say meta, but I don't know, 60 point, 11 attack. I don't know. I see some potential there. I do.
All right, Jay?
It's hard to say as far as being on a team goes, but maybe. Because I feel like his defenses are going to be a lot better post-rotation. No Nyx. No, it's not as easy to turn off stealth or ignore it or whatnot. But even then, he's just kind of moving around and perplexing, which is pretty expensive for 60. And then the trade is good, but how often is he really attacking? Especially because if he's hit, he's on energy shield, and then he doesn't want to be close, but he can only make close attacks. And then once you get him to a stop click, if you shredder him or just, manage to get another attack off, not hard with only 16 super senses, he'll die. So I'm kind of iffy on him.
All right, PJ.
I kind of like him. Don't forget, it's when he's damaged by an opposing character that they give out the tokens.
Yeah.
And all of them share the trait so far. I mean, we only see the two, but they both give out the revenge tokens, and they both say tokens named revenge. So they're going to apply to each other.
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to make them have to pick and choose if you wanted to play something along these lines. Like, I could see an Age of Apocalypse theme actually succeeding because it's going to actually be hard to attack. Because, like, you could easily, like, I mean, pop off a couple damage here and there, free penetrating, all the while being able to fight. And, you know, he'll have a 12-3 if they do have a revenge token from hitting one of the other Age of Apocalypse pieces. So I don't know. I think he's solid. The sculpt is positively beautiful. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. The and when we get into Dark Beast, we'll talk about spoiler alert. How the revenge tokens working together. It's nice to see a chase theme start to kind of come together, and like you're saying, PJ, it could be interesting to see if we get some kind of big heavy out of all of these. What they might be able to do with that trait. That said, Dark Beast isn't that big heavy. But it does have Age of Apocalypse, Dark X-Men, Exiles, Morlock, and Scientist keywords. Hiding in this reality. Stealth. During force construction, Dark Beast gains the X-Men keyword if at least 2 other characters on that force have it. And then his Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse for now works. Does it work the exact same way? When damaged by an opposing character, yet add some, and then you can deal the extra penetrating damage on that case. He's got a special movement power that gives him leap, climb, sidestep. And then it's a what you see is what you get dial for 60 points. Jay, your take on the Dark Beast?
I think he's pretty decent. Trade itself is good. Should be easy to theme with X-Men if the set makes them viable. And he's so cheap. See, he's very mobile. He's somewhat hard to hit, annoying, potential decent damage output. And since we're getting so many ID cards and everything's pretty low costed, you should be able to do some good ID stuff. Yeah, solid maybe.
All right. PJ?
I think I like Angel more than I like him personally, but he's definitely not bad. Just also another thing that I've noticed with these, not only do they share a trait, they also share a point value. So I kind of have a feeling that all of the chases are going to be the same point value, which I don't know how I feel about, because I was hoping to see like a 200-point apocalypse or something. But I think he's okay. I like keyword manipulation, I guess is the way to put it. Anything that can just gain random keywords, I'm always a fan of. So yeah. I will give him a solid thumb middle.
Thumb middle, yep. And I get like you're saying, I do want to see more of this chase theme before I kind of make a final decision. At face value, he's very okay. But you know, if we get more Age of Apocalypse, more big heavies like you were asking about, or like you were talking about with an Apocalypse, it could lead to something very awesome. But that's so far a very interesting looking set. Nothing too crazy off the out of the gates, but very nice to see. Now, there's some other announcements that we're going to talk about, but before we do that, let's talk about the official, unofficial announcement that got made. Information was pulled from the solicits on WizKid's site. We're getting a Batman animated series set. And not only is it going to be based on a Batman animated series, there's going to be 2 other sub-themes to that, including the Justice League Unlimited and the Super Friends. So just initial thoughts, guys. I know a lot of guys who've kind of slowly fallen out of the game for a bit. You know, life got in the way, kind of pick and choose their sets now. I've just lost their minds over this. Where do you sit on the lost your minds at the scale there, PJ?
I'm probably a 7. More so because the side of the box art's Batman Beyond. So I'm looking forward to...
Forgot about Batman Beyond, yeah.
Oreo-based Terry McGinnis is nice. I'm just, I don't know, I'm pretty stoked. I want to get Mark Hamill to sign me a Joker, and life will be good.
All right. Mike?
When I first heard about it, I was maybe like a 5. I was right in the middle. Like, I'm excited for the set in terms of the look. Like, I really look forward to a Mr. Freeze and a Clayface in that Batman animated series style design. I think that will be really cool. But what actually started to get my interest more was what PJ mentioned, was Batman Beyond. I'm actually way more stoked for that. Justice League Unlimited could be interesting, but I mean, it's all the same Justice League characters that we've seen a million times over. It's really the Batman Beyond stuff that excites me the most, yeah, I don't know. I think they could have a lot of fun with the sculpts, right? Like, there's a lot of great Art Deco style there. So, you know, I don't think we're necessarily going to get anything different, original, but it could be a really fun set. They could have fun, and it could be one of those sets where I wouldn't normally buy it, but yeah, I'll get my money.
All right, Jay.
I just about lost my damn mind at this announcement because. Yeah, it's interesting that they actually managed to put out another Batman set, but have it be different and compelling. The sculpts that we saw in the starter look really good. They emphasized that they were working on making sure there was a lot of previously not click stuff in the set, so that's really good. They listed off a whole bunch of those. Yeah, this is fantastic, and it is. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be the first set I try 100% because I really wanted to with Thor, but like 20 Colossals, it's too many. No room for them. So hopefully complete this one.
I'm in the middle of it. There's a lot of things I want out of the set that would be really cool. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get most of them, but what I'm probably not going to get, and I don't even think this is Justice League Unlimited. I think this is just an episode of Justice League now. But it's, you know, a Flash with real name Lex Luthor, or even
That
better
was
would be, yeah, okay. Then it would be Flash with real name I have no idea who this is.
Oh my God.
That's what I want. That's all I want. Quick reference for those of you who don't understand: in an episode of Justice League Unlimited, the bad guys took over some of the good guys. Lex Luthor took over the Flash, and then in the midst of everything, he's like, "Well, at least I'll be able to find out who the Flash is." Takes off his mask, looking in the mirror, is like, "I have no idea who this is."
The Luthor will have to have a power that's, I don't wash my hands because I'm evil.
Yeah, I'm evil. Oh, right. So, something else happened over the holidays. Something we talked about prior to leaving for the holidays, and it's been talked about a lot, but I want to get on air my fellow castmates' opinions, and that is on the watch list. The Q4 watch list was resolved. Those of you who aren't familiar with it yet, erratas were handed to the Joker. So there was 3 figures on the watch list. There was the Joker, there's a boxing ring, and then there's Unimind. And then erratas got handed out to the Joker, the Unimind, Jakeem Thunder, and the Rules. No, you didn't hear me incorrectly. Jakeem Thunder just all of a sudden got added to that list. So we'll go one by one over each change, see what everybody thinks about it, and then go from there. And we're going to start, of course, with the Joker. So originally, the Joker's dice roll at the beginning of his turn, where you got to choose to heal or damage him, was optional. You were allowed to do it, or you could choose not to do it. Now that is no longer an option. It is mandatory. You have to roll and either heal or damage your Joker off the top of the deck. Now, granted, you're still only dealing half the result, so at best you're going to get 3 on your first click, and then you can turn around and start healing it. Basically, this is to stop you from doing the thing where it's like, am I on the click I want? All right, cool. Let's stay there. And then we have the ability to mastermind damage on a Joker has been taken away. He cannot be your mastermind target because people were planning it. People were thinking about it. I was thinking about it at times. I'm not going to lie. Jay here has done it. So we knew that was a plan, and that has now been taken off the table. We're going to start. PJ, what are your thoughts on the Joker change?
I think it's good. I think he's still a very playable piece. I still think he will see a lot of play. But I think he is now unreliable enough to not be overpowered. I know a lot of people didn't think he was overpowered, but he was just such an impressive piece without actually being oppressive. So I'm really happy with the overall changes on the Joker. I will still use him, and I will still love him in all of his brokenness.
All right, Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm actually very happy with it. I think that was a good move on their part. He's still viable, he's still usable, but they've taken away the ridiculousness. I mean, 50 points, the number of clicks of life he had as mastermind fodder was just way too much and way too easily abused. So I'm very happy with what they did. Jay?
Yeah, Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's all pretty good. I mean, obviously, you didn't want a Lex Luthor god masterminding onto him, and yeah, it's a pretty insufferable mechanic. And it's good they took that away. I don't know. I'm more torn on the way they resolved his undercostedness. I'm not sure whether or not it would have been better to increase his cost rather than make him take possibly 3 damage to start, and that much easier to take the tokens off of. It does balance him quite a bit, but it might make him too easy to get points off of, so it might put him a little too far in the other direction. Just a little. But he's still definitely viable. I mean, for 30 points, what do you want for 30 points?
I was going to say, how difficult do you think 30 points should be to kill, Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that was really what it came down to, is it's now easier to score 10 points off of this character because of the unreliability of Dial. In addition to which, now your opponent is a little bit scared because if they don't roll a 5 or 6 on that first roll, they're in a very big danger zone where it's like, oh, do I start trying to heal or damage now? Now, granted, you get to see the result and heal or damage after the fact, but still, you know, if they're now, you know, at click, let's say they've taken it to click 2, and now they're forced to take damage. Well, now I only have to do 2 damage to that Joker to score 10 points. That's not an overcommitment in anybody's book, if you ask me, as long as you have a 1 point or 1 damage or 2 damage character that can get through that. So, overarchingly, pretty decent, not major. And I'm happy with the way things turned out on that. As far as the boxing ring is concerned, the boxing ring works rules-wise. As the card reads still. The only thing that they really clarified on it is that you can't take multi-base characters and stay in and out. You have to be in or out of the boxing ring. Anybody got an issue with that?
They haven't clarified what happens if you like pimp tank. This is when you must move all the way in or out. It doesn't say about retaliation or pimp tanking where you place. Can you place in or out? Because that's not movement. Other than that, I think it's good. I think we needed to do.
The rules question states, if I'm playing a multi-base character, can it move or be placed such that it can occupy squares both inside and outside the ring? And then the answer here is no, a multi-base character must have all its squares completely occupying the boxing ring if that character does not have enough movement. So that it's base, if it must end its movement, the answer applies to special. Okay, well, he said placed in his question, man.
They don't directly address.
Oh, jeez. I hate when they give these. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so placement is still.
I think the intent is clear.
Yeah.
That if you're placing it, it needs to be all in or out, but there's going to be people who are like, no.
Well, they need to remember the first rule of Clixed, the don't be a dink rule.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Or, call the judge.
Yeah.
Ask the judge ahead of time, then call the judge. It's like, Judge, we talked about this. All right. Next up, the one everybody wanted changed, the Unimind. Unimind has undergone some blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's get to the brunt of things. First, the Unimind Perplex. If you have the Unimind, you know how the Perplex works. This is how the Perplex works now. Until your next turn, Unimind can't use Power Cosmic Team ability. It can use Perplex and Willpower. When it uses Perplex, it may modify a combat value by +2 or -2 instead. No, that's the old one. Sorry, the errata When it uses Perplex, targeting a character with the Eternals keyword, it may modify a combat down value by +2, -2 instead. This turn, it may use Perplex an additional time for every 2 characters with the Eternal keyword in your sideline that it can choose powers from. So it can use Perplex, still use Perplex 3 times, but can only give the +2 or -2s to Eternals. And then the second part is that basically you can only choose the power from your sideline characters on your turn. None of this beginning of my turn, the beginning of your turn, then when I take damage. It's really just a flow stopper. It's not really great. Mike, what are your thoughts on the change to the Unimind?
I think that's good. I think it was the right direction to go. It's difficult to change too much stuff on a figure. You know what I mean? When you get too mired down in erratas and changes, you just confuse the game, and as well, you're kind of letting down your whole play testing sort of environment down by completely changing a figure. So I think they've done some good stuff with it. Could they have done more? Maybe. It still kind of bothers me a little bit about the whole scoring of points off of him when all the Eternals pop out. But another change that they made, which we haven't really quite mentioned yet, but we will mention about the whole defense power thing. I do think that in conjunction with what they've done to Unimind makes him a much more balanced figure overall.
Right.
So especially the Eternals thing, like none of this +2 to all your friends crap. So that definitely, I'm very happy that they put that little bit in there about Eternals. And yeah, no more. Okay, and now beginning of your turn, I pick stealth. Yeah. No, this is definitely a good move on their part.
Yeah. Jake?
The Perplex is good, although some have argued that it's not really a solver of the problem for limited. But then again, that's not WizKid's problem.
What's limited?
And the power, I feel like they could have kept when he takes damage, and just made it pretty clean and like any other possessor entity kind of thing. But as is, it feels maybe a little too nerfed in that area. But then again, I don't know. I feel like he's still somewhat viable, but definitely not at the same class that he was before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that class is killable, but still strong. All right. So next we move on to the big rules change. And just my thoughts there quickly. Not too deep a cut, a good enough cut. It's still playable. That's one of those things that's always been a hard case that we haven't got out of WizKids, is that a lot of the times when we get an errata, it's the definition of why we use the word nerf when you change things to be less strong, because it literally becomes softer than a nerf bat. Whereas in this case, these characters are both the characters being errata are still very usable, very functional, very strong. They're just not above where they should be at their points value kind of thing. All right. But now we move to the rules change. And now the idea is, when I say you can't use a defense power, beforehand, that meant what was in your defense slot, not necessarily a defense power that you might have chosen or something like that. They're now clarifying that to say, if I say if like I use my green arrow and he says you can't use a defense power, doesn't matter where it's coming from. A defense power can't be used. Or in the example of that's come up a couple times is Captain Cold, who's got that barrier that says if you're adjacent to my barriers, you can't use a move power. Guess what? That means even if you get sidestepped from somewhere else, not on your movement slot, that means you cannot use any movement powers. Kind of ups the power level on things like those two characters. It also clarifies the things that came with that, because a lot of people didn't quite understand when I would say, when the green arrow tries to attack Unimind, even in the world that we live in without a Nighthawk Prime, 5 damage goes to the Unimind. If he has Invincible, 3 damage goes to the Unimind. People weren't understanding that the green arrow hits, but his power doesn't trigger the Invincible being chosen from off the board, right? So he was still very capable of using defense powers from off dial. Now that says No. All right. And I mean, a defense power is defined in the defense powers. That means if he's got super senses coming from his damage power, that super senses is not going to be able to be used. That kind of clarification overall. And just it was kind of snuck in there. I know it made its way to my ideas episode of the watch list, my editorial as it was. What do you think there, Jay, on this rules change?
I certainly did not think that Green Arrow needed a buff of all things. It's, from a judging perspective, it's much cleaner, much easier to understand. That's always a positive. And of course, I'm sure they were not necessarily thinking about one specific figure as much as the whole game in general. And this doesn't really affect so much. So it's fine. I like not having to have another rules question that gets asked every single time anything happens.
All right, PJ?
I don't know. I'm undecided on this one still. Like, I like it, but I don't. I like simplifying. People are still going to ask the question whether or not, because people are going to be like, no, it used to be this way. And so the question's still going to happen, but it's a lot easier to explain now. It's is it a defensive power? Then no, it's not there anymore. It's simple, and I like it for streamlining, but I don't know. I liked the fact that Green Arrow didn't just kill everything.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Green Arrow becoming more powerful at all. Totally not. That is an unfortunate side effect. But I actually love this rule change because it makes sense, and it was stupid the other way. I'm sorry for saying it, but if I have this thing in my hand and you say, okay, you can't use defense powers, all right, well, that would be everything here. This says defense. These are the powers that you get for defense. That should be a no-brainer. That's what I can't use. It doesn't matter where they come from. I can't use defense powers. That makes sense. Any other way never made sense to me. I hated that. Was like, that frustrated me. Well, isn't that a defense power? It says it's here. It's on. No, but I'm getting it from over here. Yeah, but it's still called a. So, thank you, WizKids. Thank you.
And another important element to remember too is, Green Arrow becomes stronger, but then wouldn't Peace Machine and Nighthawk Prime become more required? Because if you have a threat, there's a counter to that threat, and if that threat is a problem to your team, bring that counter to that threat. That's always kind of been the case of building a team. So it just means in this case, Nighthawk Prime is going to stop you from increasing the damage value on the Green Arrow. Green Arrow is still going to get through your defense powers and everything like that, but it's going to be a lot less damage. Peace Machine, same deal. Going to be limited to 3 damage at all. It's just he's going to hit you more frequently because he's going to put all his stats into his attack anyway. It's kind of the way I'm seeing that. Before we go screaming, Green Arrow's always been strong. He's just now significantly stronger against Unimind, as well as Jakeem Thunder or anybody else who can pick defensive powers in the end. Speaking of Jakeem Thunder, shape change is on his list of powers you can only pick one of. And their explanation is that shape change is kind of a defensive power. And people have been choosing a defense power and shape change and kind of subverting the system, as it were. So you get like impervious and shape change, or invincible and shape change, or super senses and shape change. And as a result, you get 2 defensive powers when you have your Jakeem Thunder on your board. Now, grand picture, it seems minor, but really it does kind of take a big kick in the keister to Jakeem Thunder in the grand scale of it. Now, you could still get shape change easy enough. It rhymes with Shmim Shmio. And people have been doing that for months, year almost. So let's not forget that thing exists, and it is only 6 or 11 points, maybe.
6.
So, what was that?
6.
Yeah, it costs 6 points extra. So sorry, Jakeem Thunder costs 6 more points, guys. I apologize. But yeah, long and short of it is that shape changes now being included in that you can only choose one of the powers being shape changed. Everything else has to be kind of, you know, how it is. PJ, thoughts on this one out of nowhere?
I think it's okay. Like, and I don't think it's relevant. I think kind of like what you're saying, he'll be just as good because people are just going to throw a symbiote on him.
Mhm.
Especially, you know, post rotation, we lose our possessors, we lose our supreme intelligence. So why not throw a symbiote on him? Like, there's not really anything better. So that does make it a little awkward for his second power choice, like for your off turns. Like, you just don't really have a good one. Like, you take like invincible stealth, I guess. Always. So I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mike.
Yeah, pretty much same thing. It's not the end of the world for him. There's still lots of ways around it, but it does make that sort of turn where you're picking. You know, I can't do anything, so I'm picking 2 defensive powers. Well, I guess I'm not even picking 2 defensive powers. So it's kind of a little sucky for Yakeem, but man, the guy's had a good run. He's had enough fun. Let somebody else have a turn.
All right, Jay, you might need this. I know he's a JSA character and all, but here you go, bud.
I think he's still okay. He didn't.
Okay.
It forces you to make more creative choices, but there's still some stuff going on there. Like, I don't know, pick enhancement or empower, get some benefit out of him there. I've played him since the watch list, and it does change the thought processes a lot. That is for sure, but I don't see it as a huge drop in viability or whatever. I think he's still about as good as he was before, maybe just a little bit dinged, but he's fine.
Yep. All right. So that's the watch list in a nutshell, guys. Looking forward, I'm pretty sure all these figures are still going to show up. There's just more play behind them, if you ask me. You know, you're no longer looking at the Unimind as saying, I got this in the bag if you're not playing against another Unimind, right? Now it's, I got to put some work into this or I might die. That's kind of the way my takeaway on this, personally. But what's your grand takeaway here, PJ, on all the changes?
I think they're great. I think it really helps create a healthy format. They did a very good job of keeping everything playable, like you said earlier. I think it's good. I think all the changes are good, even though I don't know that all the pieces needed it. They didn't nerf them into unplayability.
Right. All right, Mike?
Yeah, I feel like it's they're trying to cultivate a positive play environment, one where there are choices and one stratagem or one figure is not completely dominant. So good for them. And I think it's indicative of listening to feedback from people. I think that definitely what choices they made in the changes really reflect what was being said by the community. So that's another positive thing that WizKids is taking that feedback. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
All right, Jay?
Yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with turning stuff from the best thing and nothing else is good compared to it to just high level. So overall, good job. Although I feel like they could have tweaked the boxing ring just a teeny bit. Just the slightest bit. I don't really think that what they did really solved any problems that people were having with it. But overall, generally good changes.
I look at it and I say with the boxing ring, and I don't want to carry on too much longer on this, but sorry, is that can you actually look back on a game and say I lost because of the boxing ring? I know there's a couple games I can look back and say I lost because of that Joker because I didn't want to attack him. He's a waste of my time. Specifically, my game against Howard Brock at WizKids Worlds. He had this error. I've called it in an episode of Metafix the area of disinterest, and it was inclusive of an Iron Heart and a Joker. I didn't want to touch it. It stunk. was like, this is all trash over here. I don't want to deal with it. I got more important things to deal with, like that Mercury.
Yeah, the only problem I've had with the boxing ring was literally the half in, half out colossal issue. Because I actually hadn't had it happen, and I was kind of in denial of the whole thing at the time.
Yeah.
And so that kind of messed me over. So the fact that that's been defined is really the only issue I've ever had with it. So I'm totally happy with that. I never thought it was that bad, except for that. Everything else about it is like, you're aware of it. I'm aware of what the boxing ring does. I know where it helps me and where it hurts me. Play around it, it's just like any other thing, it's playing around walls, playing around hindering terrain with guys with stealth, you just adapt, you overcome.
Yeah. All right. So that we talked about WizKids and all the awesome they did over the holidays, inclusive of giving us some really cool previews, giving us some really cool new environment to play the game in. ROC limited format is around the corner. The ROC being the guys that run tournaments when WizKids sleeps. WizKids is dormant until March when we get our next batch of WizKids opens. And we're kind of entering that ROC limited season. This is the beginning of the year where Howard Brock has taken over the ROC, still kind of working with HC Realms in a certain number of ways. HC Realms is also a source of information in all sorts of ways. One of which is a preview of one of a few new maps that are just bombarding us from the ROC. Apparently, they're trying to come out with, I believe it was 4 each quarter. Is that number right there, PJ?
Yep. One per month in the quarter, and then the event one.
Yeah. So the first one that I've got here is is it called the cafe or the
food court. The food court.
Is it the food court? Okay. Yeah, the food court. So it's kind of, if those of you are familiar with the convention center map, it's got a lot in common. The tables are your hindering terrain across the map. They're littered all over the place. And then there's a neat little washroom that has its own little set of blocking. There's the restaurants over here. They look like they're a whole great deal of blocking. So there's a lot going on here. Very interesting map. It looks like the ROC is taking a little bit more care for balance, symmetry on each side, because WizKids seems to be doing that. Kind of got to keep with their design philosophy as well to keep the game flow overall. Mike, what are your thoughts on this map? Have you taken a look at it? Familiar with it?
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward map. It reminds me of the bank heist map, and there was another map it was totally reminding me of. Straightforward, positioning, a couple of places, walls to hide behind, little stealth positions. Simple map, not bad. Batman set will enjoy a map like this.
Absolutely. Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a neat little map. It's got enough hindering to be useful, but not too much that clogs up the whole map. So best of both worlds. I like it.
All right. Now, PJ, break it.
Funny. I actually think it's really good for a team for approaching, for any type of approach, like overdrive, Doc Ock style teams that have to move up one turn and then do something the next turn because you have cubbies. And then obviously there's beautiful barrier holes in there that you can block off to lock yourself into a room to hide. So I think it's a good map. I like that it's a wide open middle, and I like that there's places to hide.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for pieces.
Yeah. Today I spent a little bit of time catching up on Dark Logos's podcast, and he was talking about dealing with teams that carry with like the Green Lantern or Renatili or Overdrive. And I'm looking at these little alcoves that you get in the map, and with some proper placement, you'd be pretty safe from enchantresses trying to move you around, as long as you block yourself in with the walls. So I was kind of a big fan of everything that was going on with this map as far as that's concerned. So very cool map here. And the next one is the Floodwater map here. It looks like your basic city map with a whole lot of water.
Yes.
There's a keyword that wants this map. I think it rhymes with schmantis.
All I know is I'm a shark. I'm a shark. I'm a fucking shark.
Shark is going to. I'm just gonna go demonetize now. King Shark, yeah, he's gonna love this map for sure. It's been a while since we've seen a water map. Jay, what are your thoughts on this one?
It is pretty cool, but it's also nice that there's still some areas if you are not named King Shark. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And there's other characters that use water, like the WizKids, Batman 66 Pack Sharks. So yeah, it should be fun, but also kind of annoying. Like because like the Pacific Ocean map and the Atlantis one were like all water, but they gave the improved movement. But this is kind of like Grand Wakanda, where if you don't have improved movement, you are just a sad person.
All right, PJ.
This is going to be another $150 to $200 map, I think, because if I'm right, this is Majestic's exclusive.
Oh man,
it comes out Majestic's exclusive, and then it comes out last quarter.
Okay. Well, for a while, people are going to want this map because King Shark. So I still think it's going to run a pretty penny up front. I know I'm going to go try to win one. So I'm looking forward to this map. I like water. I like shenanigans with water. I like Rock Age stuff with water. So I'm looking forward to having a Rock Age legal map for something like this.
All right, Mike.
I have a birthday in the early part of March. For anyone who's interested, my King Shark would love to splish splash on this map. Yeah, I saw this map and was immediately very excited, and I hope that I somehow can get this map before King Shark gets retired. Because yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
It's just one quick thing. It's actually funny you mentioned King Shark because there's an East Realms guy who does a poll where everybody votes for their favorite figures of the year. And if I recall correctly, King Shark won by a very sizable margin.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the arcade. This one speaks to my heart, although it lacks the bar portion of my favorite arcades of late. But this one kind of like the food court, but the hindering is a little bit more dispersed on the outer edges, a little bit in the center here with this big cluster of arcade machines. Unless that's blocking in there, I can't quite get a good eye. Hold on, I'm blind and old. No, that's blocking in the middle. Okay, so a little bit hindering dispersed out, but a big chunk of blocking in the center. But overall, for the most part, with the exception of the amount of hindering there, it's a pretty wide open map. Thoughts on this one, PJ?
I like it. It's pretty straightforward. It's the current prize map for the first quarter of 2018. So, there's a lot of people trying to run events now. So there's going to be plenty of chances for people to win these. So hopefully it'll be a widely used map.
Awesome. All right, Mike.
Yeah, fun little map. Definitely less about hiding. You've just got that sort of one blocking to maybe manipulate some lines with, but this is definitely for a team that's more in your face and wants to throw down rather than hide.
Oh, I may be a little incorrect. It looks a little asymmetrical with the blocking. Sorry, I apologize, because these big square here, these are all blocking terrain here. So if that changes anybody's opinions.
Yeah, so really, if you pick the map, you may not get to choose the side that's benefiting from blocking more. But yeah, it's still a little more open. There's less possibility of entrenching yourself.
All right. Jay?
Yeah, it's a nice aggressive little map. Nothing wrong with it. It's not the most interesting just because of, it's very simple, but still decent.
Okay. I believe there's one more out there. Yep, this one. The mall hallway. Bunch of benches, some plant. It definitely looks like a mall. It's definitely a mall. not much to say outside of I think there's a lot of blocking on this one. Let me zoom in here. So yeah, blocking here, blocking there, blocking here. So kind of like the food court, but more in this with blocking in between everything, not necessarily hindered along the way. Mike, thoughts on this one?
Well, it's a tight map, controlled map. You're sort of forcing your opponent into limited paths up the map if they're planning to move towards you. So interesting possibilities that way. If you've got a team that really wants to control your opponent's path of movement, this could be a good map for that, but not quite my cup of tea.
All right. Jay?
Yeah, it's a little funky with the weird blocking paths and whatnot, but yeah, I could see it maybe getting some spaces on the map list on some teams.
All right. BJ?
Yeah, kind of like what Jada said. I think people will play it. It's simple. It's straightforward. I think that alone will appeal to a lot of people because they don't have to overanalyze what's going on the map. There's straight lines.
Yeah. Straight lines, get around the blocking. All right. I believe, oh my goodness, there's so much going. Oh, the Battle Royale map they made here. Fairly straightforward. Get in the corners, get in the middle of the game, play. That's an important part of making a Battle Royale map. Force engagement, get people fighting each other, and keep the distances short and make sure there's lots. And this guy puts some great clear line arrows to where you want to be going in this one. So very awesome. And if you look at it, that's right. It all kind of fits together for those of you who are crazy and want to get a whole bunch of them. You can set up your own little mall for the massive games, as it were. So very cool maps coming out. A lot of maps coming out in comparison to previous years from the ROC. So I'm kind of excited about it. It does mean there's going to be a lot more maps in the pool when you're playing at ROC tournaments. But you got to remember, guys, that these are grid reality maps are for ROC events, and WizKids maps are WizKids only allows the WizKids maps. Hope that doesn't throw off some people. Speaking of ROCs, PJ, you got one coming up.
Yes, I do. February 17th, still, a month away. But I'm running a 400-point ROC Age Limited Mega Qualifier. Mega Super Qualifier, I think is the actual term. We just got our venue confirmed today. I'm going to be posting updated details. The expected number of attendees exceeded what our local store can hold. So currently, with everybody I've been talking to and with the expected number of people who will back out last minute, I'm thinking we're going to still be at 50 plus. So I have high hopes and high expectations. The pricing is great, and the boosters that we give out for it will be X-Men because it releases that week. So it's a good chance to come out and win some X-Men. So if anybody's in the area or not, you can fly out. There's an hour away is an airport. Maybe I'll pick you up if you want, whatever. And you guys should just try to come out. That includes you three.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. For those of you looking for information, who am I echoing off of? Oh, I think that was PJ. But yeah, those of you interested in information before I commit or overcommit or break PJ's heart, I am actually putting it in the description below, run by PJ. If you want more information, the Facebook event page is now in the description. And I have to get some details. 400 ROC Age though, man. Oof. I don't know if I own anything strong in that. I'm going to put myself as interested. Kokomo, Indiana. Hard maybe for me. Interested is the ability to travel. I'm this close to like kind of killing some of my stupidest debts, and then it's just my student loan that I'm fighting off. So once I'm clear of that, then I got a little bit of room to grow myself. But until I'm clear of that, I can't really commit to huge distance of travel that don't involve my friend Tom in his car or my friend Jay in his car. And Jay's got to learn how to travel at night like me. Early in the morning like me. Jay, what about you? You gonna go?
What's the date again?
February 17th.
Oh no, I have a family wedding the day after, so I actually can't.
What's more important?
You see, Jay, you're not understanding me. We Tom this. We leave the Friday night. We go play because we're gonna get there in time for the tournament. We might show up a little late. Who knows? We play in the tournament, and then immediately after the tournament, we hit the road. We're gone. You'll be back in time for your wedding. Whether or not you have sleep, you know, you got to learn how to Tom Currit, man. You're the wheels now until I get my Tom back. Until he's not producing his own show anymore. Mike?
Yeah, that'll be tough for me. I start on a new feature in a week with starring Mads Mikkelsen from Hannibal. Doing a feature called Polar. It's a Netflix feature. Yay, Netflix! Thank you for your money. So, and that's going to be a lot of guns and explosions and intensity. The script is pretty intense, and so it's going to be tough for me to break away. We might actually be shooting on weekends too. So, but I was excited to build for it. Man, these trips, man, it's tough to make these trips. I wish we had more of this up here.
Port PG is surrounded by 3 Canadians who can only who can't directly say no. We have to apologize our way around not going.
I'm sorry, eh? Hey, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry.
It's funny because Mike mentioned Mads Mikkelsen, and the first thing that came to mind is the new Hideo Kojima game. That the more advertising I see for, the less I know about. Okay. On that note, PJ, I'm looking forward to your event. If I can make it, I'll make it. If I can't, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm going to put effort into trying to make it, but Indiana is a little tough for me. Now, Indiana, the airport in that area, O'Hare?
That'd be 3 hours away.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, wrong part of Indiana. Oh, no, that's Illinois.
Chicago, yeah. It'd be IND in Indianapolis.
Pearson to IND. I'll figure that out. But if there's nothing else, we're going to move on to fan questions, guys. And silence means nothing else. All right. We move to the fan questions, starting, of course, on the Facebook. If you follow us at facebook.com/marriedwithclicks, you will see the post once a week, where I ask you to give me questions. And then once a week, I'll also lose that post because I'll open up PJ's event page. Lucky for notifications. All right. Our first question comes from Lucas Tom Van Holland, who seems to be beating out Chris Stockhouse on the first question every time. Much hype for X-Men. Hopefully the set will be balanced enough for sealed to flow nicely. It will be interesting to pull an ID card and potentially have a call-in during a sealed game. Thoughts on what types of crazy we could see? Are the chases of the set disappointing so far as well? Wow, there's like 8 questions in there to unpack. All right. Thoughts on what types of crazy we could see? It's X-Men, man. It's going to be a little bit of everything, but nothing super powerful with some kind of ridiculously super strong villain. There's going to be some villain in there, I think, that's going to be, oh my gosh, wow, this is strong in comparison to the set. But could hopefully, as long as the balance maintains as it has, it will be beautiful. And then as far as the chases being disappointed yet, too early to call on me on that one. I'm not going to call it yet. Just so it's 2 out of what, 6?
Mm-hmm.
So we've only seen a third of them. I'll wait because these 2 could be adding to a bigger picture, or they could be the 2 most disappointing out of the 6. It's hard to say, so I'm not going to say anything in that regard yet. PJ, your thoughts?
I'm kind of really in the same boat. There's a lot of potential for shenanigans. I'm interested to see all the IDs that we get, and not necessarily the IDs themselves, but the characters we get to call in with said IDs. He's talking about calling in stuff during a sealed game. That's really hard to do. I think I've only ever done it one time, and that was with like a Black Widow.
For me, it was what was his name? The Hydra Shield guy from
Ward.
Ward. I had a 55-point Ward and a Shield level 7 card I pulled in my one of my seal packs. It's like, and I think I called him in once all day. So
yeah, and I am excited about the chases so far. So I like when things work together. I like teamy stuff. So I'm excited for the chases.
All right. Mike?
Yeah, I'm excited for the chases too. I like the Age of Apocalypse storyline. I'm a big X-Men fan in general, so definitely I like my mutants. I think we could have really interesting stuff. So, only time will tell. How crazy could a set get? Well, yeah, man, it's an X-Men set. Like, we've got mutants with crazy powers. We've got people like, we could get another Proteus again who manipulates reality, so that all bets are off with that. We've got, exiles who jump to different realities. So, anything is possible in an X-Men set, man. Like, definitely you could have craziness. They had a lot of cosmic adventures too, so who knows? You can put anything in there. What else was the questions in there? The ID card, yeah. I don't know. I feel almost like with the figures that you're getting, the odds of you getting someone you'd want to call in that you wouldn't want to already just put on the team in a sealed build. But who knows? Hey, it can happen. Sure, why not? You have 5 points, and now you can bring somebody else in for one shot at some point in time. Who knows? I like sealed because of the fact that anything can happen and all bets are off, and it's a balanced playing field. So I hope that X-Men is a fun set for that. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Jay.
I'm excited to not be excited because I'm not a big X person outside of very specific pockets, like X-Force and Magneto and Exiles. So, and those are always the most popular sets with people. So yeah, I'm not really looking to be getting much myself. But yeah, unlikely that you get an ID card and want to use it and be able to pull it off all at the same time. And we haven't really seen a humongous beat stick yet, but we're just seeing a lot of really good specialist dials. So it remains to be seen, because who knows if, it's not necessarily going to be one of the sets where you get a ridiculous chase, because 1/3 of them are only 60 points. So, but it remains to be seen on that front too. So mechanically, it is looking good. So I'm pretty optimistic for people who like this stuff.
All right, cool. All right, next up, Chris Stockhouse, official now. A little late, but you get your stamp, sir. All right. Put a stamp on 2018. I did, Chris. Come on. What's some of the deep cut characters from Justice League Unlimited that you hope will be in the Batman animated series set? My big want would be Stargirl and Stripe duo. I think I was pretty where I wanted to be with a Lex Luthor Flash, or though a Lex Luthor with dirty hands would be cute too. But and I know Amber had mentioned it on her show, and it would be interesting to see a Kara Danvers the Laura Danvers, the white shirted Supergirl,
The clone.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat to see. I don't know. What do you think there, PJ? What's your Justice League Unlimited choice?
Muted.
Muted.
Yeah.
Sad to admit, I haven't watched Justice League Unlimited, so
That's okay.
My wife has watched the entire series, and that kind of killed it for me. Like, we were watching it together. We watched the first like 4 episodes, and then she just watched all of it. So I'm not like,
how are you not divorced?
that's where the paperwork's in.
Oh, I'm gonna feed a troll from like a year ago as well. How about a pig Wonder Woman? There, I said it. Mike, carry on. You know the troll I'm talking about.
For me, well, I'm always into like the alternate world stuff. That's why I like Exiles, and that's why I was so excited about What If and what have you. So for me, when I think of Justice League Unlimited, I always think of the Justice Lords. That was probably one of my favorite 2-part episodes. I think it was called A Better World. 2 parts. I could look it up or something. Yeah, I think it's called A Better World. I really dug the Justice Lords. I thought it was a kind of cool take, and their outfits were neat. So wouldn't be so bad to have maybe a subset of them, or them as the Chases or something like that. Who knows? In terms of Justice League Unlimited characters themselves, man, I don't know. Wasn't Outlaw in like a ridiculous number of episodes? Like way more than he should have been, I think.
Funny that you say that, because he comes up in my pick.
Yeah, like he was like in like every other episode. So I don't know, maybe something funny like that, or
There's an important one I'm missing too, but I think Jay's going to cover it, so I'm going to let him take it.
I don't know if you're thinking who I'm thinking, but I do need to do a screen share for this one. This is my HC Realms photo, and that is Adam Smasher, and he was in like 1 episode. But every time I hope for him, I get very sad, because we've had 2 sets now that had Justice Society and Suicide Squad sub-themes. We didn't get him in either of those. But I am hoping. I'm going to be disappointed, but I choose to hope and disappoint myself.
I thought you were going to help me there.
Oh, yeah. Extremely important.
I was throwing you a bone on that one.
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry.
Hey, we just rotated out a question. I want another one back in. Meow.
Right, meow.
Right, meow.
I know David Wasserman would be happy.
I was talking to him about a project recently today. I wonder if I should go ahead on that. Could be interesting.
I also want the Legion of Doom, man, from Justice League Unlimited.
You want Naked Grodd?
Yeah, give me some Naked Grodd, baby. And Parasite. I love how Parasite looked in Justice League Unlimited. His face was all ganked up.
There's so many as well, like flat edged characters that can really turn out as a model. Like, I don't see the molds actually being bad for them.
No, not at all.
It's gonna go. I think it's gonna go a long way towards being awesome.
That's why I think I'm excited for Clayface. I think Clayface, the way that he was shown in the animated series, with the sort of weird sharp lines, I think he'll look really cool. I'm actually excited for how he'll turn out.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Mike Bockley. Hello, Meta members, and Happy New Year. Do you foresee WizKids making an X-Men roundtable teleporter resource to make use of multiple ID cards? Or do you think they won't? Keep on being awesome, and peace. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. I think the days of the resource should be done in the next rotation. If not, I think the student mechanic is going to be our new version of the roundtable, where bringing a bunch of characters that bring in free ID cards and paying for a couple extras here and there is going to be the future, while you add tribbles to your team. PJ, your thoughts?
I'm with you. I don't think we're going to see any resources for a while until all of a sudden we have 10 of them. Like, it's going to be, I think we're going to have none for at least, a year. And then we're going to have like another power battery-esque release where there's just a bunch of small resources. So I don't think they'll just add one back into the mix because then you lose diversity.
All right. Mike?
Yeah, if you had asked me this question like, I'll say 4 to 6 months ago, I would have said yes, they will, and it'll be called the Danger Room, or it'll be called Cerebro, something like that. But looking at this whole headmaster trait with the free call-ins and with the sheer number of ID cards, I agree that I don't think we're going to see a resource. And I think PJ is absolutely correct that it'll be a down the road flood of many resources, a la the Green Lantern batteries, Lantern batteries.
All right, Jay?
It's hard to say if we'll ever see a resource again at this rate. I mean, when was the last one released? Like a year and a half ago now?
Yeah, teleporter.
Well, Punisher Van, but not that counts for anything.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm leaning towards no.
Huh. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at flights, and Expedia is being a bit of a jerk right now, so I don't think looking good right now. All right. So now we're moving to the chat because that was all the Facebook questions that we had. Also, if you guys are interested in supporting us, check us out at patreon.com/madewithclicks. Any little bit helps. Patreon's not being stupid, so what you pay is what you give, and we deal with the costs at our end. And we just recently had our patron hangout. That's something you could be a part of for as little as $1, as well as little as $1 gets you on the patron Discord. So check us out, patreon.com/madewithclicks if you want to help support us a little bit. Patreon action tokens actually have to get ordered tomorrow. I just remembered that. I'm going to put that on my to-do list. But without further ado, we go to the chat, and we start with Majestic's Heroclix. Hi, Patrick. Anyone going to try and make it to the Majestic's Open Series events? My year's not looking good, guys. PJ.
I'll probably be there for the one in March. I'm looking forward to some 300 ROC Age for various reasons, and I don't know. I went out there once before and had a great time, and I look forward to doing the same thing all over again. And it's not going to be so freaking cold there.
That's true. It is. It has been cold. Today was warm compared to the rest of the week, but man, has it been cold.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate question to ask of a show with 3 Canadians on it because it is very expensive to fly out of our country, within our country, anything relating to our country. It's kind of expensive. I want to go to these events because I got to say, having been lucky the past 2 years to hit some more events south of the border, they're so much fun. It's such a different climate to be around all these different Clixed players from all over, and I'm just looking at the caliber of player. Your game always gets better when you play against people like that, and they've got a lot of sweet prizes going on. Like, holy cow! I would love to go. I would love to go, but just like Jason said, it's tough. It's like when I have the money to travel, it's because I'm really busy with work, which means I don't have the time to travel. And if I have the time to travel, that means I'm not busy with work and I'm broke, so I can't travel. So it's a bit of a catch-22. I may have to save it all up for Origins.
It's not looking good for me as far as outside of local travel, and I don't want to let everybody down. This is an unfortunate fact. We're releasing a product in spring. I don't know if I'm going to see my family for the next couple months, to be brutally honest. Like right now, we're kind of ramping back up, and then like usually the ramp, it's okay. We got a lot of work to do, guys. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The ramp is I don't have an arm big enough to represent how much work is going to get thrown on my lap. And the more and more, it's not looking good for me getting out to anything outside of like Worlds and maybe the occasional WKO if I'm lucky locally. So I'm gonna do my darndest to get out locally. But Jay, California, they know how to party. How about you? You planning on going down to the Blessings?
It's unlikely, unfortunately,
But
because we are far.
guys, don't let that let you get you down. That just means 3 out of 4 really good players in the show are just not going to be there. So you just got to get past the ginger champion over here.
I am defending my title there.
Yeah. And then there's a question about football scores. What do you think this is? Love you, KJ. But KJ does ask, first great article today, Jason. When playtesting, do you start with a figure or concept, and why? Start with the concept. I always start with the concept and where I want to go with that. I started with figures many moons ago, and then I ended up starting to build tentpole teams, and I don't work well in tentpoles. I work better just on concept. I want to do a thing. Let's make this thing happen, and that's how I personally work best. Where I mean, if you look at my track record right now, the smallest team I've played in the past couple of years has been I was gonna say my PD team, but I think my Worlds my Worlds team from a little while ago where I played Jakeem, Thunder, Goblin King, and the Tank, I think was my entire team. I believe that was it. I might be wrong.
Ingrid?
What's that?
Did you play Gene?
No, I didn't play Gene, I don't think. I think I tooled up my characters a lot with like equipment and stuff. I don't remember. I didn't do well with a small team. I mean, the previous smallest team there was a 4-figure police team. That was pretty cool and okay. But that started as a silly concept as a police team, using the Flash Central City Police Captain was the starting point of that team. And I was like, I'm going to make this concept work. Make a police team a named theme team. And that's what I came up with was a Banshee, Rocket Raccoon thing. So generally I start with a concept. How can I take an idea and roll with it? And that's probably going to be part of the next article. I'm going to focus more on where my concept was going, which was fill the board with a bunch of things that I didn't start with. Check out the article at majesticccg.com. You do have to be a member to check out the article. It's been a while since my articles have been behind the paywall. So, but I'm going to share the same question with my fellows here. When you start with your team, do you start with a character or do you start with a concept? PJ?
It really just depends. I don't want to say I do one or the other. I guess if it's probably like 60-40 concept. But it kind of just depends on the mood I'm in when I'm building. Like, I'm going to a 400 limited event here soon. And I was like, you know what? I want to play Double Nick. So that's what I started with was Double Nick. But other times, like the last team I played in an event, my concept was I want to play the dungeon map and not let people move very well. So it just depends. I don't think there's a right answer to that. But like Jason said, don't just keep building tentpole teams because you found a piece you like.
Mike?
Yeah, same kind of thing. Sometimes it's a figure that I'm interested in and I want to build around that. Other times it's a concept. It's some kind of mechanic that I want to fiddle around with. I think what's really important is where your energy is at for the things. Like I love to build on the things that I enjoy. I try not to be building to match other people. Everybody's building with this figure, so I'm going to try and figure out something with this figure. I really try and look at the stuff that I'd like to play and I feel comfortable with playing, whether that be a style of figure. Maybe I'm better with move and attack figures versus positioning figures. So maybe I want to build around that kind of stuff. I know that I love to build theme, so I am always thinking of theme in the back of my head. So whether or not I'm thinking of a concept and now I want to think of a theme to build from that, or whether it's a figure and I look at their keywords and I build from that. You know, it's got to be flexible. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy it. It can't just be purely competitive. You want to sort of enjoy the energy of the figures that you're making. You'll play better and you'll practice. You'll play that team more and you'll get better at that team. So, yeah. I don't even know if that really answered the question, but that's my answer anyway.
Where you start, sir? Jay.
It's not really fair to say one or the other. It really depends on the environment and me. And yeah, I don't really feel like it's a matter of one or the other, especially because sometimes it's just there is one figure. Like recently, it was you play Unimind, end of story. So you kind of start with him, but other times it's like, I don't know. There was this time when swarmy things were the problem. So if you want to deal with Devil Dinosaur, you play that way. So you start with a general idea. So no one straight answer there.
All right, awesome. A little bit of insight into the minds of the building process of these of all of us. Though getting too deep into my mind it's a hellscape to say the least. Papa Linus adds a statement that PJ has a really cool beard. And William Dickey has a statement where he concurs. Nolan Lake, KJ does have another question here. Besides Green Arrow, what characters become more visible or viable after the recent errata? I guess that's the rules errata. And I know I mentioned already the Captain Cold, the prize Captain Cold, where he says, hey, you can't use movement power or can't be given an action to activate a speed power is a little bit more out there now. PJ, anything else you might have noticed?
Yeah, let me double check real quick to make sure I'm not talking stupid here.
You're on this show. You're talking stupid for sure.
Yeah. It wasn't what I was thinking. So I was thinking Scrambler got better with that, but I don't think that affected him whatsoever. Unless that ruling ends up directly applying to him, in which he becomes absolutely insane.
All power. This one says directly all powers showing on the target style.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I think I'm feeling dumb. And yeah, I was. But yeah, I think Captain Cold's probably the only relevant one. Mm-hmm. I think you can see him, especially since he has an ID, and the ID and himself won't rotate.
Yeah,
so
that's true. All right, Mike?
Yeah, you guys covered the ones that popped in my head right away. So yeah, I can't really think about anybody else who's benefiting.
Yeah, Jay?
What was the question exactly?
What characters become more viable with the rules change?
Besides Green Arrow.
Besides Green Arrow, yeah.
Besides Green Arrow, and besides the Captain Cold.
I guess, does Forge change?
No, he just gets rid of everything you have.
Yeah.
He says
standard power.
Standard or special.
Choose a hit character can't use standard or special powers until it clears action turns. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it affects anything other than the two examples.
So really big picture, two figures got a little bit of a bump. Both were really already strong, and one got a bump against the problem.
Is it Title Loki?
Oh, yeah, he shuts off defense powers at one point, but he's not very good.
Yeah, he's not a very good piece, but he technically got better.
Yeah, can't argue. If he got better, right?
Yeah, he went from a 1 to a 2.
Until you're 6 or something. He also gets worse because when KO'd shuts off your defense powers. So give and take with that one.
Oh yeah.
Danger. Yeah. Adjacent opposing characters 200 points or less can't use defense powers this turn. Is to -6.
Boom. Got there.
Not bad. So he's better, still not good, but he's better because you still got to get 6 title tokens for that ability. And the +1 is opposing characters can't use perplex prop. Not bad. All right, where was I? I was going through this chat.
You're it.
All right. Nolan Lake. Oh my gosh, we had a lot of action down here. Any ideas for a Hellcow or Chameleon team? Perhaps super rare Avengers Defenders cap to remove tokens from Hellcow every time she heals. I mean, I saw a Hellcow and a Rat King and a Shredder do fairly well. I'm just gonna say that.
That was the second place team at provincials. ROC.
Yeah. Very close to first. I want to point out.
Yeah, very close to first.
Very close final game on that
Very
one.
close to first. It was the one who somehow managed to squeak out that win. Yeah, that was very close.
I'm just sitting there. I'm active judging. I'm like, I'm gonna have to tell Howard that a Hellcow won.
Yeah.
PJ, any other ideas outside of that?
Any other ideas?
Hellcow.
Chameleon teams we've already seen pop up with Sinister Syndicate theme. I think if Unimind wouldn't have got a recent errata, that we would have seen a little more Chameleon popping up. As it stands right now, he's got plenty of good options to switch into. So it's just a matter of what you want to do with him. He's a good filler piece for pretty much any team. And same thing with Hellcow. I don't think you really build around it. Like, if you really want to play it, just play it. But I wouldn't bring support pieces for a low point piece unless you're playing like 6 of them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Jay?
I think pretty much all the good Chameleon teams are more or less established. Hellcow. I mean, I wasn't even at this event, and you told me about it. I was like, "Wait, why? How did you let this happen?"
I think he played it very well. What do you want me to do about it? I was judging.
I know it's still your fault, though. Monster is not bad now with all the undead stuff. I'm sure you could help give it more damage output with one of the death variants, while also using the ghosts to decrease attack values so harder to hit, and then use Abraham Lincoln to let it attack more often by using 7 years ago to keep on taking tokens off or handing tokens out to your opponent. Like, you really got to build around that if you want to make it work.
It would be a monster mash. All right, so there's a couple ideas thrown at you. The Hellcow. All right, William Dickey. Are you just as disappointed with the X-Men spoilers so far as I am? I'm not disappointed at all. I'm a little bit more future-sighted, I think, though, because I'm also looking at a world where we're going to lose. Basically, the way I'm starting to read it now is every single character after the next rotation, as far as Modern Age is concerned, is going to have a dial-on card. I mean, that's kind of the way it's looking. So Superior Foes, Spider-Man, and on is going to be the legal sets. And we're already starting in that downward decline towards power level. At first, it's still probably going to be a resurgence of Unimind, but I don't know. I'm not yet at a point where I can say I'm disappointed in it. But a lot, at first I looked at Harley and I was like, I don't know, the set doesn't look really good. And then I played it and then I tested with it. I was like, oh, there's some stuff in here that's worth looking at. So that's a thing. PJ, your thoughts?
I don't think I'm disappointed with it. But there's not enough out for me to be disappointed. It's hard to say that I'm disappointed when there's only a handful of figures.
We've seen less than 10% of the set, really.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we saw Scott Porter's unboxing, if you want to include that. So we're a little above 10%, but I'm not seeing anything I'm angry with yet.
I will say I'm very impressed with the sculpts in this set. I think that I think just WizKids in general is doing better with sculpts. I think they're making the game more visually appealing, which is important for new players and drawing in customers. So, yeah.
All right. Mike? Yeah, I have no issues yet. I haven't seen anything that's made me go, what the hell is, I think there's lots of potential there. And just like you said about Harley, I think there was a great set. There's a lot of synergy coming out in these figures now, and I think in a set like X-Men, where we're going to have even more connections, because this is a set really about team figures, right? X-Men is a team book. These are team figures. So I feel like there's going to be lots and lots more synergistic possibilities in these figures. So I'm actually still very excited for the set.
All right. Jay?
The previews don't happen to coincide with my very limited number of X-Men interests, but the dials still look good, so that's good. It's not all about the characters sometimes when you want to microwave Major Victory, whatever it is. But it is looking good so far, and all of the X-Men sets have been pretty good, so I'm not at all worried about the actual dials.
I want to point out I did not microwave Major Victory. I took him apart by hand. What was the figure I bit off of the base, Amber?
The Hammer Drone?
Dr. McCoy. I was playing a fun game, and I have a couple extra Dr. McCoys, and I played with him in the SEAL tournament, and I played with him in a fun game after. And I think I made 13 attempts to heal with him, and he failed every single one. And at one point, he died, and I was going to pull him off the base. My friend tried to stop me, and I was like, and I put him in my mouth, and I ripped him off. Like, it was more violent than my Major Victory thing.
Wow.
I have a couple extra Dr. McCoys, so it really didn't hurt my feelings, but he hurt my feelings, that's for sure. All right. What do we got here? Going through. Newbie the Gray. Who's one person you really want to play against, but you haven't? Oh, geez, that list is huge. And this is in a tournament format. Like, this is not a fun game format kind of thing. PJ Bolin, Patrick Yaboko, Edward Sheldon, Aaron Cantu. There's a trend growing here. It's no, I've already played Kevin Fruz. George Masu. I haven't played him in a tournament setting. I've played him in a side fun game once. That's just the beginning of my list. There's a lot of really good players I haven't had a chance to play against. I'm 0-2 against. Shoot! I keep forgetting his name now. Or I'm just tired. That's probably it. Daniel Joins. I'm 0-2 against him. So I have played against him. But PJ, who's one person you haven't played against that you would really want to play against?
That list is so long.
Sorry, I forgot to add Easton Brock to my list. These are really good players, by the way.
I've never played Pat.
Yeah.
I would like to play him. I've never played Paris in a competitive setting. I would like to play Paris. I think most of all, I would like to play Josh Ernest. Just because I know he's a nice guy.
I like
to play. Never played a single game with him.
Yeah. It's funny because I've met all of these people in person. I've had friendly conversations with all of these people in person, and not once have I played them in a competitive setting. Mike?
Well, it's funny, as you were listing off all those names, I was like, no, played them. No, played them. No, played them. So I've actually played like almost all those people. But I'd actually say two people. One was on the list that you were mentioning, Aaron Cantu. I've never actually got a chance to play against him. I'd love to play a game. I think we like a lot of the same kind of stuff in terms of the game and how we like to build our team. So I think we'd have fun. And Brazilian champion Pedro Roca, I would love to play against him. A super great guy. We have a lot of fun talking about Clixed. It was great meeting him in Atlanta, and that was the only time I ever met him, and we hadn't had a chance to play there. So yeah, those would be the two people I would have to say I would love to get a chance to play against.
All right, Jay.
Somehow, despite the fact that I go to Michigan quite often, I haven't had a chance to play against George outside of a couple battle royales. I think I've not played against Scott Crampton. Those are the big ones I think of off the top of my head, because I don't want to play an insta lose game either, so I could stay away from Pat from now. I'm okay with that.
The way I see it, I want to be challenged, and I mean, I've that's not to say I haven't been challenged in the game of Heroclix. Otherwise, I'd keep winning if I hadn't been challenged. I always want to play new players, notable players, high placing players, and it would be really an interesting kind of feat to, get a chance to play these guys in an actual setting and either come out on top or learn something. Because that's one of those things is I don't look at these as win-lose situations. I look at these as if I win, great, I've hit that point where it's like I can compete in the high level. And if I lose, I see what I still have to learn, and I learn. Unless, of course, I'm playing against PJ and he can't stop rolling double sixes. Just as an example, Gingers have a habit of rolling high against me, so just ask Mike Payne. So anyway, that's what we're looking at there. William Dickey, if you had to pick a team to run in a 400-point limited tournament, what would you play and why? Are we going to assume modern on this one?
He said modern.
Did he say modern? 400 point
like right after.
400 modern limited. There it is. Okay, yeah. I just keep building off of throwing stuff from off the board onto the board. I don't know. I like swarming the board and making people overthink. Seems to be doing fine for me. I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it. So I think I would just push that to the limit, to be honest. Even though I'd probably lose to 1,000 different Unimind builds, I'm okay with that. PJ?
I would likely play. Trying to see if I have the screenshot here. It's definitely Tunic Furies. Tunic Furies, the common Green Lantern, General Lane, Bizarro Green Arrow, and an 8 Pog. Just pick one. It's exactly 400.
And ladies and gentlemen, this will be the last episode PJ Bowen's going to be on the show. I'm just kidding. It's been a pleasure working with you, PJ. Get the hell off of my show. No, it's fine.
I'm going to be playing that here in a couple weeks. That's the build I'm going to run. I've never played Double Nick Fury at an event, and he's rotating soon. So
I get that.
I have to try it at least once.
I'm actually at that point in my life where I try to avoid using him as best I can, but that's because I have used him to death. The one I have has been on enough teams. The actual card for it, if I didn't sleeve it, would probably be worn halfway to heck. The dial is looser than my farts. And my Nightwing ID card, between me and Tom, that thing looks like my last debit card. It's beaten to hell. Mike, what would you play in 400-point limited?
Well, I mean, to be honest, obviously I'd be leaning towards a lot of the stuff we've already seen and the whole Unimind thing. But I've been playing around with a little bit of something. Jay knows how much I love Moon Knight from the Avengers Defenders War set. So I've been having a lot of fun with the mystical keyword. And I've sort of been doing a thing where it's him and maybe Mephisto at 130 points. But really what I'm playing around with is Nightshade and that 40-point prize Shroud. Who can actually make 3 squares of hindering terrain for free, 1 under himself and then 2 adjacent to himself. So he could move, create free hindering terrain. Nightshade could jump into one of those squares of hindering terrain for free, and then she could take a power action to place another character into that 3rd square of hindering terrain, moving them up the map to then do something else. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm just having fun building things like that. It's tough when you know the sort of basics that you're going to see and you feel yourself pushed to sort of building against that. But I'm trying some different stuff out, and mystical is a great generic keyword to build with. There's so much room at 400 points. I mean, Moon Knight, Nightshade, and Shroud only come up to 200 of those 400 points. So there's a lot of other stuff I could add on to have fun, like the Joker's Wild super rare Green Lantern that, you know, puts up walls and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm playing around with.
Cool. Jay?
That's a good question. I feel like the thing I would want to play would not have enough actions, but get as many JSA actual good bodies on the map at the same time. But even then, there's, I guess, Zatara is pretty good. I hear Tom likes him. Yeah, probably some sort of JSA with some of the pretty good pieces they have now, actually. And I would not like to play 20 Alan Scotts, so I'm going to not do whatever it is you're suggesting, Pete.
Tara's a great choice, Jay, in a 400 point event, especially if you're playing JSA. That double perplex, prob, and TK is great.
Yeah. It's nice that the Red Tornado has the defend to go along with any JSA pieces missing it. So that's very nice.
Love that Red Tornado.
All right, 2 questions from the Discord. Let's try to lightning round through them. We got 3 questions left. First up, what are your guesses for the upcoming title characters from X-Men? Magneto and Professor X is my guess. I'm sure there's another Professor X due to come, and there's a non-prime Magneto we haven't seen in Super Rare slot. PJ?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I would have to say those two, maybe potentially like Jean Grey, more like, you know, Phoenix related.
Cool. Jay?
Was there any ever doubt that it was going to be those two?
Wolverine. Marvel likes them some Wolverine, right? All right. Next up, also from Tiger Alchemist on the Discord. What are your thoughts about the pieces that were unboxed by Scott Porter? I'm liking the Headmaster mechanic myself. I didn't get too deep in. I was kind of distracted by work, but I did hear a couple things, and the Headmaster mechanic on both Cyclops and Wolverine kind of caught my eye. And Wolverine's style was very interesting with 3 stop clicks in the midst of it. PJ?
Nah, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Mike?
I saw it. I enjoyed it. I like Wolverine with the stop clicks. I think it feels like it makes sense for him, the way they're staggered. And a Cyclops with a 12 attack is pretty exciting to me, because I think that really Cyclops has needed a higher attack for a long time. You know, he's not really known for missing with his optic blast very often. So I'm excited for the set. I was happy with the video.
All right, Jay?
I quite liked Moira. I guess now that we've gotten the leadership change, we're seeing a lot of these really low point pieces with it, and her having that on top of the perplex, on top of pushing to outwit, works really well with the X-Men team ability, so she can really facilitate some nonsense. She's probably the piece I'm most excited about from the Scott videos.
Yeah. All right, and last but not least, Mr. William Dickey asks, what are good social media areas and groups to join to network with players? Discord groups, Facebook groups, etc. I'm not sure about Discord groups that don't I know we have our Patreon Discord, but that's my way of saying give me money. But that said, I mean, honestly, most of the time, if you look up Heroclix on Facebook, you come across some good ones. Avoid anything the name Smack Talk in it. That's for a specific type of person. That's not where you're going to find good community members. That's going to be salt. Just watch your sodium intake on that one. That's all I can say. But the ROC Online Group is a great place. Check out the description. We have the link to that. That's where they're setting up all the ROC Online tournaments. True Heroes and Villains Facebook group, the Married with Clicks community group. Check that out. There'll be links all over the place there. PJ, anything you want to add there?
I was wondering how long it was going to take for you to say the Married with
My
Clicks.
own community group that's actually run by the guy who I used to give my Twitch channel to. Speaking of which, before we get into that, I'm looking for somebody to take over the Married with Clicks community Twitch channel. Let me know if anybody's interested. PJ, carry on.
All the podcast groups as a whole. Clixed Off, Critical Clicks, 2 Clicks from KO. Pretty much all of them have their own group. So you can always join those. I think the most active one is Clixed Off.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd probably be a good place to start. And that's kind of local for him. So, because it's kind of based around the Midwest.
All right. Mike, anything you can think of?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered it. Facebook is a good place to look. I think it's important to always read the description of the groups to find out sort of what the motivation is. Is it a group that's just talking about what they love about Heroclix? Is it a group that's for trading and selling? Is it a group for, just competitive whatever? Check it out and it'll give you an idea of whether or not it's a group that's right for you.
Jay?
I think you guys pretty much covered it. I think if you're talking competitive, Clixed Off is probably the more active group right now.
Yep. All right. Anything before we sign off? PJ, last thoughts. Mike, last thoughts. Jay, last thoughts. All right, cool. Apparently, we've given you all of our thoughts. And on that note, I want to thank our sponsors over at hcrealms.com. Check it out. It's where the conversation's happening. It's where the unit section is. It's where you can track collections, keep track of your figures, build your teams using the quick build there. Star Trek just made it up there, guys. So if you're trying to build with some Star Trek stuff, go for it. Check out the forums where conversation is going on. It's also where some of the leak stuff finds its way and starts to accumulate in one place. It's where ROC updates are still kind of happening. But as well, jump into the shop, put in the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off of any of your purchases there. A little bit gets kicked back into the channel as well. Check out majesticccg.com/apex-insiders if you want to keep a good eye on me trying to build in the limited format. That is a site to check out because that's where I am sharing my nonsense as far as my build so far. Currently, it is sitting at some nonsense that brings a bunch of nonsense from outside the map, and that nonsense is supposed to overwhelm my opponent and make them and generally stress them out. That's my goal in life, is to stress you out when I play. But at the same time, have a ton of fun watching you kill all my stuff while I slowly but surely death by 1,000 cuts you. But if you want to keep track of my thought process on limited format, check it out, majesticccg.com/apex-insiders. PJ's a regular contributor. Jay's a regular contributor. I'm sure Patrick at one point will convince Mike to be a regular contributor. Who knows? But, check it out as always. And, guys, happy holidays. It's been great to be back. I hope everybody had a ton of fun. And it's time, guys, to start ramping up because before long, it's going to be WKOs. After that, Canadian Nationals. After that, more WKOs. Then Nationals. Then Worlds. Probably in the same weekend. And if you want to get yourself ready for that, just remember practice. Because practice will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.